Hey friends and neighbors, it's me Raina, and today we are doing faux stained glass with laser cut acrylic and resin. Welcome to my 15 minutes of the hurricane relief collaboration brought to you by this little piggy. This is a design that I created myself. Here on the left you can see the process of me creating it in Procreate. Yes, I did use some references because I had about 2 days to decide how I was going to make this happen. So I found some images I liked, created them actually with AI, which is a very useful tool if you're just looking for ideas. So I found some ideas I liked and then I created my own. I then cut it out on my xTool P2 laser. Here I am showing you the weeding process on the left of poking out all the little individual bits. And now I am placing different kinds of textured iridescent acrylic into certain cavities to create a multi-dimensional effect, both on the seafoam part of the waves and also the moon that's directly behind the lighthouse. I've put a little bit of white acrylic on the back of the waves to brighten it up a little bit because sometimes, depending on the color behind it, it changes colors and I want it just to be a little bit more white. I'm using my very favorite glue, B7000, to put in these little bits. Here in the windows, this is glow-in-the-dark acrylic, so it glows all the time. It's some of the strongest stuff I've ever seen, which is so cool. Here's pearl white acrylic and then black holographic acrylic. If you've ever been to St. Augustine, then you know where I got the inspiration for the lighthouse, the St. Augustine Lighthouse, all the way down to the red. Obviously, I took some artistic liberties because it doesn't look quite like this, but it was still an inspiration. I am now pouring resin. I'm using art resin, and you can see it's a little bit yellow because I accidentally left it out in the sun well, not outside, but in a sunny room, and it oxidized a little bit. But that's okay because the ocean's got a little bit of a tint of green to it, so I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm using Mermaid, Billabong, Sapphire, and the new limited edition color Benevolence to create my waves and also part of the sky. Mixing piggies into resin is pretty darn easy. You just use a little bit, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon, 1/4 of a teaspoon, depending on how much resin it is and how opaque you want it. And you just mix it in until it completely dissolves. You want to mix it well because if you have clumps, the clumps will show up eventually. Not always, but it's a good idea to kind of overmix it because you don't want to undermix it. Undermixing's bad. So I am dropping the resin into the cavities with a popsicle stick. You might be wondering about the frame. The frame is a piece of black acrylic. It's got masking on it right now, so it looks brown, and it is fastened to a piece of clear acrylic on the bottom. I use 3M tape, which is perfect for bonding, that sort of thing. It's like a pressure-sensitive tape. It will never come apart, and it keeps the resin in its place. You'll see at the end, I'll take the masking off both of the black acrylic and the clear acrylic on the back, and it completely changes the look. So right now, you're just seeing the brown paper masking. I did create a color map in my Procreate file that I referenced while I was doing this so I could see precisely where I was going to drop each color. I did pre-plan it. It's always better that way because with resin, obviously, you have a limited working time. And especially if you're working with multiple colors, you want to be really on top of what you're doing because your resin may cure. Well, it won't cure, but it may start to cure while you're still working. Now we are moving on to the sunset, and I was a little bit, what's the word? Ambitious, and decided to do 9 colors with 1 cup of resin. So here, this bright yellow, this is lemon sorbet with a little bit of techno mixed in. I really wanted that bright yellow that you see at sunsets. Who doesn't love a gorgeous rainbow colored sunset too, right? Techno and then the orange that I'll be using in a little bit, Mosh, are part of This Little Piggy Goes to the Disco collection, which is blacklight responsive. And I'll show you some blacklight shots at the end along with the glow in the dark, just so you can see the full effect of what I've created for you here today. I'm now moving on to Submarine, and now this color is Golden Peach mixed with some Mosh, because that was the only way to achieve that electric orange that I was going for. I'm freeforming at this point. I did make a color map again in my Procreate file, but I ended up changing the drawing a little bit from the time that I made the map to actually making it a real piece. So I'm kind of also going by the seat of my pants, but kind of not. And unlike the waves, I'm mixing several different colors of resin in the compartments, because if I had just used one color per compartment, I wouldn't have been able to get the ombre effect of the sky that I was going for. So you'll see that I'm mixing several different colors together to create the fades. And a lot of times resin will just go ahead and commingle, but you'll see when I'm done putting all of the resin in the cells, I do take a toothpick and kind of swirl the colors in amongst themselves, so they really have a much nicer fade than if I just let it cure and see what happens. I wanted to encourage the mixing a little bit more. I'm using 3 different colors of pink. So the lightest pink, that is Afterglow. The medium pink is Fairy Floss, and then the deeper pink, which I haven't used yet at this point, is Show Pony. So those 3 together really gave me the beautiful sunset pinks that I was looking for, and I am so happy that they worked together so beautifully. Oh, there's Show Pony right now. Speak of the devil. This is pretty exacting work. A couple of tips, if this is something that you want to try yourself, is don't hold the cup of resin over your work, because you will get little drips. If you look closely on my thumb, the gloved hand, there are resin drips all over it. So I keep wiping it on a towel off the screen. You may also be wondering, why the heck am I not wearing a glove on my right hand? It's a feeling thing for me. I feel like my hand is just not as dexterous with a glove on it. Like, I have reduced ability to make precise movements. I'm also just handling it with popsicle sticks, and I've been working with resin in this capacity for a long enough time that I'm confident that I'm not going to get it all over my hand just by, dripping the resin into the cavities. But yes, I'm definitely wearing one on my left hand because there's little resin drops on the cups, all of them. That part's messier, but the part I'm doing with my right hand, the actual placement of the resin, I felt safe going without a glove. I'm using 3 shades of purple as well. I'm using Crescendo, Nightfall, and Constellation. If you're wondering how long this piece took me, I will tell you. So the drawing alone in Procreate took me 9 hours and 20 minutes. I love drawing though, so when I am sitting on the couch with my kittens, I can draw for literally, 12 hours and completely lose track of time. I zone out, I'm in the flow, it's great. Yeah, 9.5 hours just for the drawing. So then the laser cutting took about, it was 25 minutes for the frame. And then cutting all the different pieces of acrylic, like the waves, cresting, and the moon, and the ring around the moon, and the lighthouse. That was another 3 hours. And then mixing the resin and pouring the resin over 2 different days. That was about another, let's see here, hour 15, 2.5 hours. Shortly, you'll see me applying something with a brush, and what that is the Pigs After Dark color Flirty, which is the one that glows green, and I mixed it with UV resin, and I'm brushing it on the rays of light coming from the lighthouse. And that took a good bit of time too, because I wanted to be very precise, so we'll add another hour onto that. I have totally lost track of time right now, but what are we at? I don't know, close to 20 hours? After that, I removed the tape, I demasked it, I cleaned it up where there were little resin spills, and then it came to editing. And I had 3 hours to cut down, 3 hours of footage to cut down to 13 minutes for this video. Well, I probably went over that, 14 or so. It's a labor of love, but boy, did it come out beautiful. This and every other artwork in the collaboration are being auctioned off on November 3rd at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Nate Bright's art channel. All of the proceeds are going to directrelief.org to benefit those who have experienced damage and worse from the hurricanes Milton and Helene. If you're watching this video after that time, there's still plenty of ways that you can help too. I have some family members myself in Brevard, North Carolina. We didn't hear from them for 5-6 days, so we were pretty worried. They ended up being all right, fortunately, and no major damage, just without power and phones for days, but it was pretty dang scary. I can't even imagine what it is like for everybody who is really affected by this. And the least I can do is donate my time and effort and creativity to help some others. If you're watching this video after the auction, well, I hope you still learn about my faux stained glass process that I do with a laser cut acrylic and resin with this little Piggy Pigments mixed in. If you enjoy my art, I would so love if you would give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. Lord knows what I'm going to do next. Videos take me a long time, so I don't get them out as regularly as other artists do, but I always want to make something really quality for you. I'm not around all that often, but when I am, it's some good stuff. So I appreciate you being around and continuing to support my journey in art, which is ever evolving and ever experimental, and you just never know what I am going to do next. Demasking is fun. Actually, it's really satisfying, but you'll see I'm approaching it with great caution because that resin is super sticky. But the reason I am demasking it before it's cured is because there were a few places where the resin snuck under the masking because I had to remove the masking around the waves and the blue part of the sky before that cured. So that was necessity so I could clean up some edges and the resin didn't cure on top of the acrylic and ruin my beautiful effects. Here again, this is me creating a glow-in-the-dark effect over the rays of the lighthouse. So I have used some blue painter's tape to go over where I don't want it, and then I mixed the Piggy After Dark in Flirty with UV resin and painted it on with a paintbrush. And now it is time for the great reveal. I am taking off the masking on the back of it on the clear acrylic. So you're seeing the back right now. And now I get to show you the final result. Isn't it gorgeous? So the iridescent acrylic is so fun. It kind of turns different colors. I'm so happy with the black holographic on the Lighthouse and just the incredible texture and beauty of TLPs and resin. See all those little I guess circles, the texture, it makes it look more like stained glass, even though that's just kind of the pigment reacting with the resin as it cures, but it gives just such an incredibly beautiful effect. And the Benevolence color is literally my favorite color, deep teal. It is so stunning, so I'm grabbing a few jars myself before the fundraiser is over. All right, here it is in blacklight. You can see those colors really pop, even the pink that aren't really technically UV reactive. And, oh, there we go. Glow in the dark. That is pretty cool. You can see the glow in the dark acrylic in the lighthouse windows and the rays. Man, that is rad. Be well, be creative, be happy. See ya.